Most people think you need a big backyard or lots of space to grow your own food, but it doesn't have to be that complicated. Today I'm going to show you 10 perennial edible climbing vines that make vertical gardening feel more doable and enjoyable, even if you're working with a small patio, balcony, or just a sunny fence. These plants grow up instead of out, come back year after year, and give you fresh harvests without replanting every season. If you're new here, welcome to Zero to Purpose, where we take simple, hands-on steps to live more creatively, sustainably, and intentionally. Grab a tea, settle in, and let's begin. Vine number 1, passion fruit. Passion fruit is an evergreen climbing vine that stays lush and green all year long, making it perfect for creating privacy screens or covering bare fences. This is important because it gives you both beauty and function. Thick foliage for shade and privacy, plus delicious tropical fruit you can harvest for months. Why it works is simple. Unlike many vines that lose their leaves in winter, passion fruit keeps its dense coverage year-round in warm climates. It produces stunning purple or white flowers followed by tangy sweet fruit that's packed with flavor. The vine naturally wants to climb, so it happily covers trellises, fences, or pergolas without much coaxing. Here's how to get started. You'll need a container or garden bed with good drainage, a sturdy trellis or fence, and a warm climate. Zones 9 to 11 work best. You can start from a nursery plant or even grow one from a store-bought passion fruit. Plant it near your support structure and gently train the tendrils as they grow. For maintenance, water regularly during dry spells and give it a light prune once or twice a year to keep it tidy and productive. The practical payoff? You get a living wall of green that looks beautiful, provides shade in summer, and produces fresh passion fruit for smoothies, desserts, or eating straight off the vine. It's dual-purpose gardening at its best. One small thing that makes a huge difference. Avoid grafted passion fruit plants if you can. The rootstock used in grafting can sometimes take over and become invasive, and it won't produce the fruit you want. Stick with plants grown from cuttings or seedlings for better results. Vine number 2, chayote, also called choco. Chayote, also called choco, is a fast-growing vine that produces an incredible amount of food from just one plant. This is important because if you're limited on space, chayote gives you serious bang for your buck. One vine can easily produce dozens of pear-shaped fruits in a single season. Why it works is all about its growth cycle. Chayote is a vigorous climber that shoots up quickly in spring and summer, creating dense foliage that provides natural shade. Then in fall, it dies back naturally, dropping fruits that can sprout and regrow on their own the following spring. It's low maintenance and practically self-seeding. Here's your simple start. You only need one sprouted chayote fruit. You can buy one from the grocery store and wait for it to sprout. Plant the whole fruit in warm soil near a strong fence, trellis, or arbor. The vine will climb on its own, so just guide it gently in the direction you want. For maintenance, water it during the growing season and let it do its thing. In fall, leave one fruit on the ground if you want it to regrow next year. The practical payoff is huge. One chayote vine can give you enough fruit to share with neighbors. You can cook chayote like zucchini, mash it like potatoes, or even use it in pies. The young shoots and leaves are edible too, giving you multiple harvests from one plant. Here's a tip most people overlook. If you want chayote to come back next spring without replanting, just leave one mature fruit on the ground in fall. It'll sprout on its own when the weather warms up and you'll have a new vine without any extra effort. Vine number 3, Malabar spinach. Malabar spinach is a heat-loving leafy green that climbs beautifully and thrives when regular spinach gives up in the heat. This is important because it fills a gap in your garden, giving you fresh greens all summer long when most leafy vegetables are struggling. Why it works comes down to its tropical nature. Malabar spinach has thick, succulent-like leaves that handle hot weather without bolting or turning bitter. It climbs quickly using twining stems, so it takes up very little ground space. And it grows fast, so you can start harvesting within weeks of planting. Here's how to make it happen. Start with seeds or a small seedling, a container or garden bed, and a simple trellis, string support, or even a fence. Plant in warm soil once frost danger has passed. The stems will naturally twine around the support as they grow. For maintenance, just water regularly and harvest the top leaves and stems often. This actually encourages the plant to branch out and produce more greens. The practical payoff is fresh, nutritious greens all summer when your garden needs them most. Malabar spinach has a mild flavor with a slightly mucilaginous texture when cooked, similar to okra. Use it in stir-fries, soups, or sautéed as a side dish. One small tweak that makes a big difference: pinch the growing tips regularly. This stops the vine from getting too leggy and encourages more side shoots, giving you a thicker, bushier plant with way more harvestable leaves. Vine number 4, grapevines. Grapevines are one of the most rewarding perennial climbers you can grow, giving you both delicious fruit and strategic seasonal shade. This is important because grapevines are deciduous. They lose their leaves in winter, which means you get cooling shade in summer and warming sunlight in winter. Why it makes sense is all about smart garden design. Grapevines are strong, long-lived plants that produce for decades once established. They naturally climb and spread, making them perfect for arbors, pergolas, or fence lines. And with proper pruning, you can train them to grow exactly where you want. Here's the breakdown. Start with a bare root or potted grapevine from a nursery. Choose a spot with full sun and install a strong support structure. Wires, a trellis, or an overhead arbor work well. Plant the vine and train the main stems along your support. In the first year, focus on structure rather than fruit. For maintenance, prune heavily in late winter when the vine is dormant. This keeps it productive and manageable, and it's easier than it sounds once you learn the basics. The practical payoff? Fresh table grapes, homemade jam, raisins, or even juice, all from a plant that comes back stronger every year. Plus, grapevines create beautiful, functional shade that changes with the seasons. Here's something a lot of people don't realize: positioning matters. Plant your grapevine where you want summer shade but winter light, like over a south-facing patio, seating area, or garden bed. You'll get natural climate control without lifting a finger. If these ideas are sparking some inspiration for you, go ahead and tap that like button so more people can find this video. And I'd love to hear from you. Which vine are you most excited to try? Drop a comment below and let me know. I read every single one, and I love seeing what you're working on in your own gardens. Let's keep this conversation going. Vine number 5, hardy kiwi, kiwi berry. Hardy kiwi, also called kiwi berry, is a cold-tolerant alternative to tropical kiwi fruit that produces smooth-skinned, grape-sized fruits bursting with flavor. This is important because it opens up kiwi growing to climates where regular kiwi fruit just won't survive. Why it works is all about adaptability. Hardy kiwi can handle much colder winters than its fuzzy cousin, and the fruits are sweet, easy to eat whole, and incredibly productive once the vines mature. The plants are vigorous climbers that can cover a fence or arbor quickly, and they're surprisingly well suited to container growing if you keep them pruned. Here's how to get started. You'll need one male plant and at least one female plant for pollination. The male won't produce fruit, but it's essential for the females to bear. Plant both in full sun with a very sturdy trellis or arbor, because mature vines get heavy. The first couple of years, the vines focus on growth rather than fruit, so be patient. For maintenance, prune in late winter to control size and encourage fruiting, and water consistently during the growing season, especially when fruits are developing. The practical payoff is impressive. Once established, hardy kiwi vines produce pounds of sweet, nutrient-dense berries every fall. Eat them fresh, freeze them for smoothies, dehydrate them for snacks, or toss them into fruit salads. They taste like a mix of kiwi, strawberry, and melon. Here's a tip. Hardy kiwi is perfect for urban or container gardens. Unlike full-size kiwi fruit, kiwi berry vines don't need as much space and can be kept more compact with regular pruning. Just make sure your container is large and your support is strong. Vine number 6, scarlet runner bean. Scarlet runner bean is a stunning perennial vine that regrows from the same root system for up to 7 years without replanting. This is important because most beans are annuals. You plant them, harvest them, and start over. But scarlet runner bean keeps coming back, saving you time and effort. Why it works is rooted in its perennial nature. The plant dies back to the ground in fall, but the roots stay alive through winter and send up new vines every spring. It produces bright red flowers that hummingbirds and bees love, followed by edible pods you can harvest all summer. And as a legume, It actually improves your soil by fixing nitrogen naturally. Here's the simple start. Plant seeds or a small starter plant in spring, give it a pole, trellis, or even just a string to climb, and place it in a sunny spot. The vine will twine upward on its own. Once established, mark the spot so you don't accidentally dig up the roots in winter when everything looks bare. For maintenance, water during dry spells, harvest beans regularly to keep production going, and let the plant die back naturally in fall. The roots will rest and return in spring. The practical payoff is years of fresh beans from one planting. Use the young pods like green beans, or let them mature and shell them for fresh or dried beans. Plus, you're feeding your soil and supporting pollinators at the same time. Here's something most people overlook. Harvest the pods when they're young and tender. Older pods get tough and stringy. But here's a bonus. The bright red flowers are also edible and make a beautiful, colorful addition to salads. Vine number 7, sweet potato. Vine sweet potato is a dual-purpose edible vine that gives you nutrient-rich greens above ground and starchy tubers below. This is important because you're essentially getting 2 crops from one plant, and both are packed with vitamins and flavor. Why it works is all about versatility. Sweet potato vines naturally send out long runners that you can train upward on a trellis or let sprawl along the ground. The leaves are edible and taste similar to spinach when cooked, and the tubers store well for months. Plus, sweet potato is easy for beginners and supports beneficial insects and pollinators. Here's how to make it happen. Start with a sweet potato slip. That's a rooted cutting you can buy or grow yourself from a store-bought sweet potato. Plant it in warm soil after all danger of frost has passed and give it light vertical support like a trellis, netting, or even stakes with string. The runners will grow quickly. For maintenance, harvest the top 4 to 6 inches of leaves and stems regularly throughout the season. This won't harm the plant and actually encourages more growth. At the end of the season, dig up the tubers and store them in a cool, dark place. The practical payoff is double. You get continuous harvests of nutritious greens all season long, plus a storage crop of sweet potatoes that can last you through winter. The greens are rich in vitamins A and C, and the tubers are filling, versatile, and delicious. Here's the thing most people don't realize. Young sweet potato leaves are incredibly nutritious and mild in flavor. In many parts of the world, they're more valued than the tubers. Harvest the tender tips regularly, and you'll never run out of fresh greens. Vine number 8. Hops. Hops is one of the fastest-growing perennial vines you can plant, capable of reaching 5 to 7 meters in a single season. This is important because if you need quick coverage for privacy, shade, or screening an ugly wall, hops delivers faster than almost any other edible climber. Why it works comes down to sheer growth speed and vigor. Hops vines emerge from underground rhizomes in spring and shoot upward at an impressive rate, creating dense foliage by midsummer. The cone-shaped flowers are the edible part, traditionally used in brewing beer, but also great for making calming herbal teas. And because hops is deciduous, it dies back completely in fall, giving you seasonal control over coverage. Here's your start-to-finish breakdown. You'll need a hops rhizome or potted plant, a very sturdy and tall support structure like a pole, strong trellis or vertical wires, and full sun. Plant the rhizome in spring about 3 inches deep, and as the vines emerge, train them clockwise around your support. That's the direction they naturally grow. For maintenance, water regularly during the growing season, harvest the flower cones in late summer, and cut everything back to the ground after the first hard frost. Mulch over the root area in winter, and the plant will return even stronger next spring. The practical payoff is instant vertical impact. Hops covers fences, arbors, or walls faster than almost any other vine, and you get unique edible flowers for brewing teas or even potpourri. It's functional, fast, and surprisingly low maintenance once established. Here's something that trips people up. Hops dies back completely to bare ground in winter. Mark the spot clearly so you remember where it'll pop back up in spring, or you might accidentally plant something else on top of it. Vine number 9, butterfly. Pea. Butterfly pea is a vibrant, tropical climbing vine that produces stunning blue-purple flowers you can eat, brew into tea, or use as natural food coloring. This is important because it's one of the few edible plants that gives you such intense natural color. And it's completely safe and fun to use. Why it makes sense is all about beauty and function. Butterfly pea flowers create a caffeine-free herbal tea that's naturally bright blue, and when you add lemon or lime, it magically changes to pink or purple. The flowers also attract pollinators like bees and butterflies, making your garden more productive overall. And the vine itself is low maintenance and grows happily on simple supports. Here's the simple path. Start with seeds or a small seedling, plant in warm soil after frost danger, and give it a light trellis, netting, or fence to climb. Butterfly pea loves heat and humidity, so it thrives in tropical and subtropical climates. Once planted, it pretty much takes care of itself. For maintenance, water during dry spells and harvest flowers regularly. This encourages the plant to produce more blooms. The more you pick, the more it grows. The practical payoff is pure fun. Use the flowers to make color-changing teas, natural blue food coloring for rice, cocktails or frosting, and as edible garnishes for desserts and drinks. Plus, your garden gets a pop of stunning color that attracts beneficial insects. Here's the thing that makes this vine extra special. Add lemon or lime juice to butterfly pea tea and watch it transform from deep blue to bright pink right before your eyes. It's a natural, chemical-free science experiment that kids and adults love, and it's completely safe to drink. Priority. Bonus tip. Vine Nardar 10, tuberous perennial nasturtium. Here's the thing most people overlook when it comes to edible vines. Tuberous perennial nasturtium is one of the most underrated multi-use climbing plants you can grow, and almost nobody talks about it. This is important because the entire plant is edible: leaves, flowers, seed pods, and even the underground tubers. Why it works is rooted in its resilience and versatility. Unlike annual nasturtiums, the perennial variety comes back year after year from tuberous roots. It self-seeds easily, tolerates part shade, and requires almost no maintenance once established. The leaves have a peppery, watercress-like flavor. The flowers are sweet and colorful. The green seed pods can be pickled like capers, and the tubers taste similar to radishes or turnips. Here's how to make it happen. Start with seeds or a transplant. Plant near any trellis, fence, or structure where it can climb or trail, and give it a sunny to partly shaded spot. Nasturtiums aren't fussy about soil and actually produce more flowers in poorer soil. Once planted, let the vine ramble naturally or gently train it upward. For maintenance, there's barely anything to do. Water occasionally during dry spells, and let the plant reseed itself. It often returns on its own year after year without any help from you. The practical payoff is incredible. You get 4 edible parts from one low-maintenance plant, harvest young leaves for salads and sandwiches, pick flowers for garnishes and color, collect green seed pods for pickling, and dig up the small tubers in fall to roast or eat raw. It's like having a salad bar, spice rack, and root vegetable all in one vine. Here's the pro tip that makes all the difference. Let some of your nasturtium flowers go to seed instead of picking them all. The green seed pods that form are absolutely delicious when pickled in vinegar with a little salt and spices. They taste remarkably similar to capers and add a tangy, briny punch to pasta, salads, and charcuterie boards. Most people never discover this hidden gem because they only know nasturtiums as ornamental flowers. But now you know the secret. So no matter your space, your tools, or your experience level, you can start growing real, delicious food by thinking vertically. These perennial vines come back year after year. They grow up instead of out, and they give you harvests without the hassle of replanting every season. Pick just one idea from today and try it this week. Let it teach you something. Start small, watch it grow, and build from there. Drop a comment below and tell me which vine you're starting with. I'd love to hear what you're planning. And if you haven't yet, go ahead and subscribe and join us here at Zero to Purpose, where we grow life one simple project at a time. Thanks so much for being here, and I'll see you in the next one.